I know what I said. I'm sorry. I mean, just things change, you know? It's nothing personal. Hope we could still be friends. Now, 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 now. Now, 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 now. What is going on, y'all? Today we have a pretty special video. I have been anticipating this shoe for a while now, and I finally got my hands on the ASICS Megablasts. And I actually just ran 5 miles in them, so let's get into my first impressions of the shoe. So first of all, I do want to preface this video before we get into the details that I did buy this shoe, unfortunately, all by myself. So the price of this shoe is a ridiculous $225. That's damn near $250 after tax for a non-plated super trainer. So with that being said, let's get into it. So as always, we are gonna start off with the outsole of the shoe. So the ASICS Megablast has the typical looking ASICS rubber traction outsole pattern. It probably is like ASICS hybrid grip or ASICS grip rubber. I didn't really bother to look at the specs because you know how it is nowadays. Companies just be throwing out marketing names and materials and whatnot. I'm just gonna tell you guys about the performance in my experience. So the traction on the outsole of the Megablast did very well. I mean, I live in Los Angeles in California, so I was running in pretty ideal weather conditions for that first 5-mile run. I was running in sunny conditions on the road. If anything, there were a couple parts of the road that were a little bit messed up, so it was a little bumpy, so that maybe tested the stability of this shoe, but we'll get more into that in the cushioning section of the review. So how did the outsole perform? I thought it did very well. I did notice that this outsole feels a little bit stickier on the ground, or I felt a little bit more sure-footed than I did in the ASICS Nova Blast. I would say it's maybe even slightly better just from a first impression standpoint of the ASICS Super Blast 2s. I feel like this rubber outsole is a little bit stickier than this one in my opinion, or we'll see if that changes over time as I run in the shoe more, as you know, I only have 5 miles in the shoe. So overall, the traction, I was kind of pleasantly surprised, but also I would be a little disappointed if a $225 shoe did not perform well in ideal weather conditions on the road. So overall, the traction, we'll see how it goes in the full review. I'm gonna try to run a little bit more on different terrain. And I mean, I can't really affect the weather. It's probably gonna be in mostly sunny weather conditions. As for durability on the outsole, no idea. I mean, I've only ran 5 miles in this shoe, but for $225, this outsole better last a lifetime, or it better last at least, 400 to 500 miles, especially for a bigger runner like myself being 200 pounds. A lot of shoes kind of wear out quickly for me. I start to feel some lingering pains. I start to feel like the cushion setup changes. The outsole kind of wears down really fast for me personally. Typically shoes last around 250 miles. Some only last 200 miles. So we'll see how this shoe lasts. I would hope that it's above average for that ridiculous asking price. So overall, I mean, can't really say anything about durability, but we'll continue to put miles on the shoe. Now, moving on to the main event, which is the midsole as well as the cushion setup of the ASICS Megablast. As you can see, it is a pretty chunky shoe, and I'm not exactly sure if you'll be able to pick this up on camera, but I was expecting kind of like an all-white colorway with this shoe, which it is, but the midsole is actually a really nice, it has like a glitter effect. Very subtle. In person, it's definitely a lot more viewable, and obviously as the shoe gets dirtier and stuff, it'll probably go away, but I think it was a nice touch. I mean, again, for the price point, you better throw in every gizmo and gadget into the shoe because the prices are getting ridiculous. But overall, let's talk about the performance of the midsole. So if you're not familiar, the ASICS Megablast does have above 40 millimeters of stack height in the heel, which is what I deem a super trainer, and it does not have a plate to my knowledge. It's just a full length FF Turbo Squared or FF Turbo 2 midsole. And without even looking at the specs, I can just tell, the midsole is a little bit higher than typical daily trainers, which I would expect in a super trainer. And I can also kind of just by feeling the shoe and running in the shoe, I can tell that there probably is PBA in this foam. I think it's probably the same foam that they use in like the ASICS racing shoes, or maybe the older ASICS racing shoes. I think they have a new ASICS racing foam, if I'm not mistaken, like FF Leap or something. But the FF Turbo Squared, we're here to talk about this midsole. Wow. I think it's one of the best midsoles that I've ran in for a non-plated trainer. I know this is a super trainer, but this is what I wanted to feel in the ASICS Super Blast 2. And I'll get into kind of my conclusion at the end of, this shoe versus the Super Blast 2, but just know that this midsole is, I think, one of the best. I mean, the price point, yes, it is ridiculous. I'm gonna keep saying that because it is freaking ridiculous. But I think that with that price point and this setup, I'm kind of like in my head, I'm like, is it worth it? It might be, because like this shoe was so fun to run in, at least just from the first 5 miles. I do want to test this setup with a longer run. I'm probably gonna do an 18 to 20 miler in this shoe in a couple of days because I'm still training for a marathon. So excited to see how this midsole kind of holds up. It's really, really comfortable. It's not super soft. It's a little bit more on the firm side as well. But the difference between this shoe and the Superblast 2s is that this midsole feels a little bit more bouncy. It feels like there's energy under your foot, and it just feels really light and fun to run in. So I would say that this is kind of like a shoe that you would want to run a little bit quicker in, and you still get all the properties of impact protection that you would want in like a long run shoe. So you get the best of both worlds, being lightweight, responsive, as well as very impact absorbent. So that's kind of like killing it on all levels. This midsole is just super, super comfortable. Really excited to kind of test this out on longer runs. As for the pace of my 5 mile run, I was trying to do like a slower recovery pace, but I did notice that I was running faster in the shoe effortlessly. And when I say effortlessly, I mean, I'm not super fast, guys, but I was running, you know, maybe a little bit above marathon pace, which was for me a little bit around like 9 minutes flat per mile. So for me, usually I have to kind of put a little bit more effort to get to that pace, but in these shoes, I was feeling like really good. I also didn't get a lot of sleep last night, and I was feeling really tired, didn't really want to run, but when I put these shoes on, I swear ASICS didn't send me the shoe or they're not paying me, but it just was really easy to kind of pick up the pace and just like finish the run. I don't know, I just felt really good in this setup. I think that the midsole is one of the best that I've tried on. If I were to kind of compare it, and I don't want to do this too early because it is a first run review, but it's kind of like a lighter version of what's in the Vomero Plus, and it feels less bulky than the Vomero Plus. And if you guys remember, or you guys have watched my channel before, I absolutely adore and love the Vomero Plus. It's one of my favorite shoes of the year. And so if this midsole is lighter than that one, less clunky than that one, as well as just as maybe bouncy and impact absorbent, I don't know. I mean, it's a little too early to say, but this midsole is something serious. So if the price point doesn't scare you alone, and you're actually considering this shoe, I think the midsole is so good. So yeah, we'll kind of put in more miles. I'll keep testing it in different paces, different weather conditions, and different types of runs and stuff. And then I'll let you guys know my final thoughts on the midsole. But so far, chef's kiss. Really good. Really quickly, also, I wanted to touch on stability of this midsole. So it is a firmer and responsive foam. And in my experience, just doing that quick little 5 mile run with some uneven terrain, I felt like it was a pretty stable shoe. Now, it is a really high stack shoe. So I would say like when I was beginning to run and I tried wearing these higher stack running shoes, maybe it was my form or like my body wasn't used to it or whatnot, but like my joints and like my knees and everything would start to hurt a little bit after running more in those higher stack shoes. So if you're a beginner, I don't know, you might have the same problem as me where like when you run in higher stack models, you might feel a little bit of pain. But now that I've ran more and more and I've kind of gotten used to these higher stack running shoes, I kind of don't have stability issues, or I feel like I can kind of like use the shoe to its abilities, or I kind of got used to the higher stack. So what I'm trying to say is if you're maybe a beginner runner, I would recommend maybe something a little bit less high off the ground and something a little bit more chill and stable. This shoe is definitely stable in my opinion because the foam is a little bit on the firmer side, which I really like. But I would just, maybe put out a slight warning to maybe beginner runners. If you're not used to running in high stack shoes like this, it might not feel as stable for you as it maybe does for me, or also, for elite runners that have really good running form. So that's just what I have to say on stability. I'll talk more about it in the full review. Now, quickly talking about the upper of the shoe, probably my least favorite part of the shoe, if I'm being 100% honest. I mean, I totally get why they did it, but it's kind of like this really thin, lightweight, I want to say like synthetic mesh. It doesn't feel like a really soft and like plush, nice mesh feel. It kind of feels a little bit plasticky and a little bit hard. I know it's my first run in the shoe, so I mean, I am gonna break in the upper and see if that changes for the full review. But first impressions, I would say that I'm not the hugest fan of the materials on this shoe. I did feel also that this really thin and lightweight tongue, I felt that the laces kind of bit into my ankles a little bit. And then the heel lockdown though was really, really good. And the fit overall was very good. I would go true to size. I have a slightly wider than average foot. And these shoes felt a little bit snug, but they were like a comfortable snug, kind of like more of a race-like fit, but not like a race day shoe. Race day shoes, in my opinion, fit very tight. These ones fit a little bit more snug. It's just like a nice happy medium between not too much room and still feeling really secure in the shoe. I would just say that when I was running my first run in these, I did feel like the materials were a little bit stiff and maybe not as soft as I would like, but overall the upper felt very supportive and very lightweight. The breathability, I mean, if I do the light test, a lot of light shines through the upper, but to be honest, I didn't feel a whole lot of ventilation. So we'll keep that in mind as I put more miles in the shoe. But overall, yeah, the upper wasn't the most comfortable upper just from a material standpoint, but from a fit and support standpoint, like this upper is really, really good, especially for that lightweight feel that you get on your foot. So for such a big shoe, I do want to note that this shoe feels extremely lightweight. I believe it is lighter than these Super Blast 2s, which are already a really light super trainer. So these are even lighter and they're even more bouncy. I am obviously gonna compare these two shoes in the future after I do my full review on the Megablast. But yeah, if you really want a lightweight long run shoe that's fun to run in, that maybe you'll have to, you know, sell a couple things to buy this shoe and you're willing to do it, then yeah, I mean, just from a first run review, I can kind of already recommend the shoe. I mean, it's really about the price point at this point and also your personal preferences as well as what you're training for. I'm personally training for a marathon, so that means a lot of long runs, a lot of higher mileage weeks for me personally. So I need kind of like all the impact protection I can get. I need some shoe that's gonna make running a little bit more fun than it already is. And this shoe kind of does that for me so far. And I'm excited to really put more miles into the shoe. I'm just not super excited about my bank account right now. So overall, very excited to run more in the shoe. And I honestly think that it's one of the best running shoes I've ever put on my feet, which is a bold claim. Bold claim, I know. But yeah, we're gonna confirm that after I put more miles onto the shoe. And yeah, I'm gonna go to work so I can make some money back because yeah, these put a hole in my wallet. So thank you guys so much for watching this first run review on the ASICS Megablast. I know kind of went a little bit off topic. But yeah, like I really enjoyed this shoe on the first run and I'm excited to see if the upper breaks in as well as if the midsole can hold up on long runs and then also how durable the outsole is. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below, would you even consider this shoe? Is $225 like the max that you'd be willing to pay for a non-plated super trainer? Yeah, just let me know in the comment section down below. I'm really curious to get your guys' thoughts and I will catch you guys in the full review as well as I still have a running vlog coming soon of my peak week of marathon training, so stay tuned for that. I'm still editing it, so it's gonna be one of my first vlogs, so I'm super excited about it. So thank you guys so much for watching and I will catch you guys in the next video.